Hello, today we are comparing Soudiron's Hyperion Brass Micro with the upgraded version, the Soudiron Hyperion Brass Elements, and looking at what are the differences, which one will be best for you, is it really worth upgrading? The main advantage of actually sticking with the Micro first is the fact that you get a huge discount if you decide to upgrade later to the Elements version. They will knock off the full price that you paid for the Micro. So this is $49, this is $99. If you decide just to get this and spend your $49, well, it's only going to cost you $50 to upgrade. Although I will add, I have a 5% discount code in the description if you decide to purchase any of these products. That is my affiliate link. Anyway, back to the purpose of this video. This will not be a full walkthrough of these individual products. If you would like to see a full walkthrough, let me know down in the comments and I will go through these libraries with a toothpick. But as I said, we're going to focus on the differences. So let's jump in and actually show you these two products. So right off the bat, we have the Elements at the top, we have the Micro at the bottom. The major differences, firstly, the true legato. With the Elements, you are getting a true legato. With the Micro, you have a simulated one. It's okay, but for fast runs, it's not the best. And if you listen closely, it's not as convincing. The true legato really is true legato. The other difference is you are getting two extra individual instruments. What I really like about the Micro is the fact that yes, you get an ensemble patch, and normally I don't like ensemble patches, but Soudiron do them really well. They divide them and you can tweak them and really define each individual instrument within it. I'll get into that when we look at the patch itself, but I really do like how Soudiron do their ensemble patches. But you do get individual instruments, which I absolutely love and always recommend using over ensemble patches. You get a trumpet, a tenor trombone, a horn, and tubas. I say horn, I mean horns. These are all multiple, they're not solo instruments. Now, what you're getting extra with the Elements is you're getting a euphonium and you're getting a bass trombone. You get a couple of extra ensemble patches, as you can see here. They're basically just different combinations because the ensemble patch on the Micro is those four instruments. With the Elements, they've got different variations and combinations, and so you can really fit one to your liking. But what else? What other differences do we actually have? Well, with the Articulations, you're getting an actual true vibrato patch with some of the instruments, not all of them. You're also getting shorter versions of some of the more, I guess, obscure, I say obscure, they're not obscure, articulations like swells. You're getting shorter swells as well as the long swells, which you get with the Micro. You're getting flutter tongue and sforzando short as well. But I will show you that when we get into some of the nitty-gritty details. So firstly, I really want to show you the legato and compare it with the true legato that you get with the Hyperion Brass. We're going to start with the horns. We'll go with the Micro first. And just a brief look at the interface, there is actually no difference when you look at the Elements and compare it to the Micro with the other things like effects, the space. I absolutely love the spatialize element of Soudiron's products, especially with the Elements, the fact that you can place something as far back as you want or far left and right or within just this one little thing. Visually very appealing, beginner very friendly. So that is the exact same. Play assistant's the same, arpeggiators the same, effects, everything is the same. Even the main menu is the same, except down here you will have a couple of more added options with the Elements, and of course the Articulations you'll have a couple more. You'll notice there's an easy lead as well at the top. I will show you that as well. It's not a legato, it's kind of a you play it and it decides for you, but I find it to be a little bit sharp. And you'll see what I mean when we look at that. But we are focusing on the legatos, so we're going to stick with our sustained dynamic patch. And a little that down here, there's this legato button, which is simulated with the Micro version. So let's have a quick play with that, and then we'll jump in with the horns true legato side by side so you can really listen and hear for yourself. Now moving on to the horn's true legato patch from Hyper Iron Brass Elements. Now I find it a lot more appealing than the simulated one you get with the micro. You do have some options down here of solo and quiet. Which I don't notice much difference, but I think that's to do with the response time there. So let's now look at the actual articulations and show you what I was mentioning earlier. So firstly, when we click there, you can see all the different articulations. You can assign any of these bits here to different articulations, set up how you want. There are key switches as well with both. Now click here, you can see that they have the, well, dynamic version. I don't know why they have the breakdown, so if you really want, you can just have the sustained piano, the sustained forte, the sustained mezzo forte. I personally just like the dynamic ones. I don't use the breakdown personally. I wish there was an option to kind of turn some of those off so I could just have all the dynamic ones. But you'll notice with the micro as well, they do the staccato slightly different. With the elements, they say staccato and staccatissimo, but with micro, they do staccato 8th and staccato 32nd, which essentially is, you know, your staccatos and staccattissimos, just to show you what those actually are. Your longer staccato and then your shorter one, which is lovely. You can see down there how many round robins there are, consistent between the two different patches. With this one, you're only getting the triple tongue. You get double tongue with the elements as well. And there's an option down here to change that. I will show you that in a second. You get sforzando. And with the elements, you get a quieter version of that. The same with the swell. I lied, you actually get a shorter version of the swell. And crescendo high, decrescendo high. You get lower versions of those, which essentially is quieter versions with the other product. Now, as mentioned earlier, with the triple tongue or double tongue with this patch, it's under multi-staccato. We go to multi-staccato dynamic, and you'll notice there down at the bottom, double and triple. This is your double and triple tongue. I don't know why they just didn't call it, oh, I guess you couldn't put it double or triple. Okay, multi-staccato, that's kind of making sense now. So this is the double, and this is your triple. Options, 4 round robins. What more can we ask for? So that's the major differences with the articulations, but let's now jump into the elements so I can show you the other side of that. So as I said earlier, the user interface is exactly the same. You can see there's no differences there at all, which is great, and great if you're upgrading as well. Now, articulations, let's have a look at these. So this is the horns. We just looked at the horns micro. This is the elements. There is no individual vibrato patch for this one for some reason, although with the trombone there is in the elements but not in the micro. So some of the articulations aren't quite consistent, but most of them are. But what we do see here, as I just mentioned, staccatos and staccattissimos, we have those lows as well. If we actually compare those side by side, we've got a crescendo high. I'm going to change this to crescendo low. Yeah, so this is the high. This is the low. It is just that little bit quieter, that little bit softer. We have the swell short. I already mentioned that. Flutter tongue, where is my staccatos? Because there is a slight difference here as well. Now down here I did mention that there are some extra settings with the staccatos. You have the option of tight, of time, and of loose. Same round robins as already mentioned. We're going to make that velocity sensitive as well. That's tight, loose, and then time. So there is a notable difference between those, and that just added a little detail. You can change the style. You have your vibrato, simulated vibrato up there, short swell instead of your long swell. So ever so slightly different. Let's now move into one of the added instruments you get with the elements. So this is the bass trombone. You're also getting a euphonium as well, and with this one you are getting some added vibrato patches instead of the simulated one over there. You will note as well that on the sustain dynamic react at the bottom you can either have a blend of the vibrato, just the vib, or the clean, and I'll show you the differences now. This is the clean. This is the vib. It's real vibrato, it sounds real, and then you have this blended option as well, where you can move between it using a MIDI CC. Which is really nice and a lot better if we put it on the clean and use the simulated vibrato. That to me is quite obviously simulated, so it's really nice that, of course, you get the simulated as well. They're trying to keep it consistent between the two, but don't forget, look in the bottom left. This is where a lot of the differences are. You get these added styles, these added blends. There's a lot of stuff within Elements that utilizes this corner of the UI to give you just that little bit extra. It's what you're paying for essentially, so don't forget to use that and look in that corner. But as well as having it down there, you do have the option to just pick sustain vibrato. There is not a sustain vibrato dynamic version because you get that with the sustain dynamic overall. Let's show you the euphonium as well, and I will show you the easy lead with the euphonium so you'll get a gist of what that is. You get that with both the micro and Elements, but again, I personally do not like using that. Can be a little bit finicky, and well, as you saw there with the playing, but you do have that mix of sustains and staccato. But as you can hear there, that initial hit is almost quite harsh, and you can tell it wants to do staccato, and then it's like, oh wait, we are actually extending it a little bit into a long. But you have that option. Actually, the euphonium one is a lot better than the horn one, I must admit. I have tried recording this video a couple times, didn't like it, and well, this has probably been the best way I've played the easy lead, but that's an option. You have that both with micro and Elements, I will repeat. What do we have? We have some vibratos with this one as well. As that's the main one that's is sometimes there and sometimes not. With the horns it's not. Obviously with the bass trombone it was there, and with the euphonium it's there as well. And again, on that overall sustained dynamic reactive, you have clean, you have vib, you have blend, you have quiet, you have solo. There's lots of stuff. You have that fake legato as well, or as we saw a second ago in this menu, you have the true legato, which you have the dynamic and then the breakdown of the different dynamics as well. Now I feel it's time to move on to the Ensemble Patch and show you this beauty. I absolutely love Soundiron's Ensemble Patch because it's so flexible. There's so much you can do with it. For starters, you have this Ensemble tab, and you can move where each individual instrument is, so you know your tuba is here. This is where it overlaps. You can even move them ever so slightly if you want to, right here, if you don't want it to overlap at all. So you have that flexibility within this Ensemble Patches, and a lot of companies don't do this, and I absolutely love the fact that you have this tab. And with the space, you have the 4 individual instruments there, so you can move them wherever you want in the space. You could have one hard back left, one hard front right. I just love this user interface. It is so flexible, so beginner and user friendly, and for a great price. But I'll tinker around with this for you. This is the micro ensemble patch, and then we'll move into the elements ensemble patches. Beautiful. It's an ensemble patch. It's flexible. You can do just about anything to it you want. You can even turn some instruments off entirely and just have 2 instruments there. So flexible and so nice that with the micro that you get this option of having everything together, all those 4 individual instruments. Now moving into the elements, you have a lot of options actually with regards to ensemble patches, simply because they stick to having 4 instruments within the ensemble patch, but they change them out and move them about because you've got 6 instruments now. So with this one, you have got the bass bones, the bass trombone, euphonium, horns, and trumpet. If we look down at the bottom over here and swap that out, you can see the levels as well. You can mix it right there. And you can see the bass trombone is almost maxed out quite a bit. There we go. We've got euphonium, horns, tenor, trombone, and trumpet. So they've kind of mixed and matched. And with the main, if we look at the articulations, you do have that range of articulations as well. Sustained, dynamic. I'm not seeing the vibrato there, interestingly enough. We might as well have a quick tinker with this patch as well. And as was demonstrated there, you have this really nice range of dynamics. But in summary, Elements ultimately just builds upon the foundations that Micro sets. What I love so much about Micro is the fact that you get 4 individual instruments as well as an ensemble patch, all for $49. That's a great deal. You go to any other company, you're going to be expecting to pay $200-300 dollars or euros for something similar. The quality is definitely there. Great range of dynamics. You have a great set of articulations, and then if you really feel you need the extra couple of instruments and just that little bit more flexibility and that true legato, then it's not much to upgrade, in all honesty. And Soudiron do sales a lot. I think at some points you can pick up the Elements for $49. So what more can I say, really? It is a great deal. The quality is definitely there. It's very beginner friendly. Elements is definitely worth the upgrade price, in my opinion, simply because between the vibrato and the true legato, I really feel it does add that extra bit of value. And then you're getting, with the staccato, some different styles. But overall, I absolutely love these products. I highly recommend them, especially for beginners. It's got everything you need in terms of brass instruments. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Let me know if you want to see me do this with their strings library as well. But thank you so much for watching. Don't forget there's a 5% discount in the description. But I'll see you in the next video.